Katie, Christy, say hi to the camera. Something's going on.
What do you think it is?
Do the knocking game you showed me, remember? How do you do it?
I don't know, ask her.
I really like that trick.
It's not a trick. She's been doing it all day.
There was something in the house. Christy's like connected.
A real-life poltergeist.
She's like Carol Ann. I just gotta film this stuff. I set up my cameras around the house, right? I can maybe capture something.
Yeah.
You know something, man? Maybe this ghost would be a little friendlier if they put the goddamn camera down. that ghost
he just hates cameras.
That ghost is probably like trying to take a shit and he's still filming. He's like, come on, man, damn. Can I do something that y'all filming me?
Maybe it's the ghost of Sean Penn.
You just stole my joke, asshole. I was like, wait to spit it out, and you go, damn it.
No, man. I mean, because I actually like this one. I think that this is the best out of the three. I think they need to stop while they're ahead because they're ending this on a good note. But you have to suspend your disbelief when it comes to that camera. They hold that camera through any situation, and they never put it down. That's been the flaw of every part of this series, though.
Well, the first one was a static camera mainly. It was like ones that were like security cams. So
Yeah,
it was like,
it made
okay,
sense.
it made sense that they would have that and that footage would exist. I didn't have a problem with that. Second one, it's also cameras, but there was a bit of carrying it around as well. This one is it's in the 80s, and this is just a guy's like, I like filming stuff.
And you like really did back in the 80s?
Not at all.
Yeah. That wasn't going on. That's so much more of a 90s thing.
To be fair, his job is recording stuff.
Sure,
So
recording weddings and
he had
whatnot.
tons of equipment around, but even so, it's not that he's recording stuff. It's that after shit is jumping out of the fucking walls and he's scared for his life, he's still like, what was that? And pointing the camera at it. You're like, dude, all right, if it had night vision on it or something, that might be one thing.
That might make sense.
Well, you know what? Okay, there's a lot of things that you really, I mean, you're right, Corey. You have to suspend your disbelief on a lot of shit in this movie because number one is the camera. Because I don't know about you guys, but I've taped some shit on some fucking Maxell tape, and my shit never looked as good as it does in this movie where I'm like, wow, what kind of fucking tapes were you using? Was this shit not available at Walmart? I mean, wow, where did I go?
Most of the stuff you were shooting was from outside into some girl's bedroom window.
But I was the Paranormal Activity when that shit was going on. When I was recording my love videos, as I call them.
It was like a reverse Paranormal Activity where the haunting thing has the camera with you. The girl's like, what was that? And it's co-host.
I know co-host. I mean, I know, the tapes are cheaper. They're 10 for $1 in Laredo. There's a reason. You pay for it.
I can't even get that kind of quality recording in SP. I'm sorry, but just thinking about that, but also the fact that when you look at this guy who seems like you're told from the get-go from I guess the mother of his girlfriend that he doesn't make a lot of money, but I'm like, back in the day, the equipment that he was using in his garage
was expensive.
I'm like, come on. I mean, Access Television.
Oh yeah,
That's where all his money went.
Back then he had the Enterprise in his garage. At the Starship Enterprise, as much stuff as he had a TV network in there. That shit was like CNN and Fox TV.
It was crazy. Yeah, I'm like, unless he invented fucking VHS, I can't really buy into that. But you know what? I'll let it go. I'm here for fucking ghosts. I'm not here to find out the history of the VHS tape and how this guy got a hold of it.
But it does bear mention that they tried to actually at one time, they set up one scene where the tape that they use actually looks like old VHS tape, and that shit clears up quick.
It does, which is the biggest flaw.
It turns into digital video in a minute.
It's the video equivalent in movies when they start off with like where clearly they're speaking Russian or something, and then they just kind of look at the camera like, we're just going to speak English from here on out.
They should have kept that. They should have kept those fucking track lines going through the tape because that would have made it that much more creepier.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you.
I think something y'all are missing, like as far as that being the biggest flaw, but that the footage looked too good. The fact that there's just too many times where there are cameras posted in places where nobody would have set cameras. Like him and his buddy, they're running this business together, and yet there's a camera on them filming their conversation.
Yeah, no, there's points even when they're showing like they're setting down a camera to take a family picture, but you see the camera in the shot, and you're like, well, you're saying they took a family picture and then set a video camera behind the camera?
Yes, too many places where I'm just going, okay, who's filming this scene? Well, clearly all the characters are in
not the biggest flaw in the film. The biggest flaw in the film is that, and I can say this as a white person, that these were some stupid fucking white people, all right? Now,
Thank you, man. I'm glad I didn't have to say
I
it.
have gone with the yes, I would hang out with the Scooby-Doo crowd, like many times. Say, I'm sorry, I know you guys would run and you'd be smarter than me, but I'd still be like, you know what, I'm going to go check that shit out. But in this movie, fuck that shit. There's a point early on in where you're like, they got that shit on tape. I've been like, we are going to stay in that hotel where the Poltergeist family did. We're serious, man.
I do like the fact that, like, in the face of all empirical evidence, the mother was still like, you need to stop talking about this bullshit. There ain't no ghosts here. Smash.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't see no sign of no ghosts nowhere.
Yeah. No, I guess this could be like called Paranormal Activity, the beginning.
Zero.
Yeah, Zero. Yeah.
Reborn.
Yeah, Reborn. Because this is a prequel of sorts. Everybody who's
Not even of sorts, literally.
It is. No, everybody who's familiar with all three of these movies is familiar with the character of Katie. And Katie, she's been an adult through part 1 and part 2. And this one, it starts out with Katie as an adult, and they find a box. Her and her sister find a box of old VHS video cassettes from 1988. And it turns out that these are tapes of them when they were young, at like around, I guess, 6 and 8 years old or so, somewhere around there. And it's funny that they explain it, but they have no memory of what happened on these tapes. But it is the origin of where this spirit that's been following her all her life comes from, and they refer to it in earlier movies with the photographs and the
first
Polaroids.
Film, like kind of towards the end, starts going, "Oh yeah, there was all that shit that happened when I was young," and they never really say okay. And you would think if you did remember even that much, you would never ever even give something. Oh, that's peculiar.
Which at
that noise?
Which at times it seems like this movie paints itself in a corner a lot, because just even thinking about that introduction, where I'm like, okay, so are we viewing the tapes through their eyes right now while the series of tapes that they just found play out? Because if they did, that wouldn't make any sense for the part 1 and part 2 without them acknowledging what's going on in this one. Because there's some major things that happen.
Well, they do it. That's what I'm saying. They do say that there is a reason why they don't remember what happened when they were kids. And you're probably saying to yourself, oh, what's even more unbelievable than this girl being followed by a ghost all her life? Is like, these are the most videotaping this motherfuckers in this series ever. And they try to explain that because
this whole family tapes everything.
Oh, and it's unbelievable. I mean, they try to explain, and I can understand them what they're doing. It turns out that their mother, Julie, has a boyfriend now. And his name is Dennis.
Yeah, they never say what happened to the kid's father. They don't even allude to it.
Yeah, they sure don't.
Yeah, you just assume that he's a deadbeat because the mother comes in and says, I wish you get somebody else who actually has money. Now you got another hipster deadbeat on your hands. But Dennis is cool. The kids love him.
He's a fun guy.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. Julia apparently likes him for a good reason. I mean, you like him.
Yeah.
But he's a wedding videographer, and mysterious things start to happen around the house, and it's just like any white person in this series. They say, man, not only is this mysterious, but this is cool. Well, let's set up cameras in every fucking corner in the house and videotape all the spookiness that's going on.
I like the fact that the guy's MacGyver enough to like take apart an old like rotating fan.
Yeah.
Put the video camera on top of it so he can get 2 rooms at once, which actually ends up being an effective like video trick that they use in the film.
Which I always think the filmmakers are going, oh shit, how are we going to shoot this? Like, there's a scene that we want to do, but how are we going to make this sense in our world? Let's start thinking, what would MacGyver do? And they do it, which I'm like, all right, yeah, that's clever. But when the movie starts to really, do its thing, I'm like, all right, this is familiar territory. I mean, and I started thinking, okay, now maybe they just ran out of ideas, but it seems like this is going into a more movie territory other than the premise that originally established.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things about this movie is that I felt like it's almost like somebody wrote something different who had never seen the other 2 movies, and they said like, all right, well, we'll make it work. I'm sure we can patch the seams together, because even this story, I mean, sure, they found a way to explain how it ties into those other stories, but it didn't really feel like it did. It's like the nature of the beast is something different. I don't want to go into what this actually goes into, but those other movies didn't mention anything like that.
Yeah, well, it's hard not to spoil it.
It didn't mention it, but I don't think anything that happens in this movie precludes the stuff that happens in the previous 2. I mean, the idea is that you certainly see a lot more this time around, and you know a lot more details of what the hell is actually going on and what this thing might be, or at least what it's tied to. But like I said, none of that new information information says, oh, well, that doesn't make sense with what we've
No,
seen
I'm not
before.
saying it's saying it didn't make sense, but it just didn't feel like oh, this is what we had planned all along. It felt like this is a story about something else that we're going to patch into this.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it has a more of a Blair Witch Project feel to it, and that's why I think that this is the creepiest one out of all of it. And I liked it as it's an origin story, and because it also gets, they take like a cliche that I didn't think would work for the movie, and I actually thought it worked. Like, the whole thing that animals and children can see spirits more than adults can. And what I liked about this is that whatever this spirit is, it was kind of cool at first. It was playing with the little girls, and they were, talking to them. They were having tea parties, and it was almost like that spirit was just having a tea party with her one day and said, "Bitch, I said no sugar," and lost his fucking mind and just start to terrorize the family after that. And I thought that makes it creepier that it starts out kind of friendly. You don't know what irritated it to where it decides to come in there and, first of all, be a trickster and start to just scare the family to feed off its fear. And once it has that fear in it, it just starts to terrorize them.
But you know what? They could have titled this Poltergeist.
Yeah, the reality
just
camera
thinking
version.
from the reality point of view of the first person camera or found footage, because I was watching this, I'm like, why does this seem so familiar to me? And I'm like, oh, it's Poltergeist.
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
much. This movie definitely has creepy, genuine moments, which I was like, wow, this is way more effective than some of the stuff I saw in the first two. As it started to get towards the end, where it started to go in that mode of like, okay, you are starting to tell a linear story here. You're giving me enough to where I can see where this is heading. And that was the unfortunate part for this film, because I thought that's where the film started to stumble upon itself. I swear to God, the ending felt like, okay, you know what? I've seen this in another found footage movie not that long ago. And anyone who loves these series of found footage movies, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because it goes directly into that territory. I'm like, wow, you're lifting that from that other movie that just came out not that long ago.
Yeah, like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was like when I was walking in tonight, when we were all showing up, the theater was fucking packed. I mean, the parking lots
we had
were
to park in
full.
another city.
And I'm like, and I was telling Leon, I was like, you know what, this is the new Saw right now. This is the new Saw. People are going to eat this up. It's going to make a killing at the box office.
Comes out during Halloween season.
Halloween, because it's the perfect haunted house movie.
Well, they only spend like an extra maybe $5,000 with each movie to up the level of the effects.
Oh, I thought you were going to say an extra $5.
Well, things watching the end though, I was like, why did you do that? You could have really kind of left it open, even though that's what I was assuming they were going to do, but it's like you kind of wrapped it up.
Well, found a way.
Just for sheer technological ability, like when people might have cameras, they'd be able to film stuff. They can't make another prequel. Okay, so there's just no. Well, what are they going to do? They're going to do it all with Polaroid.
Super 8.
It'll be a series of slides.
Yeah, a series of slides.
No, they'll have a guy.
Scary. Hey, believe me, that's always terrifying.
Yeah,
Because even 2 was a prequel. 2 takes place before 1 does.
The next movie is going to be a guy coming out in front of everybody with a flip book.
I know, right? But you know what? I think that the natural thing here, if they're gonna do a fourth one, no doubt, because these cost nothing for them to make, and they pull in a shit ton of money. But now we know where all this starts. We know where the origin is, and I didn't mind that, because then I'm going, well, they're not gonna go farther back. Instead, you're finally gonna see what happens next, which is taking from what we know and what we know what this thing is. I liked it in that context. I'm like, wow, maybe finally this series can move forward some. And I enjoyed the last 40 minutes of this much more than I did the previous films, because shit actually happens. There's shit fucking flying all over the place, and people are screaming.
The thing with the first two movies, the ghost Toby, I don't know if remember if his name was Toby in the first two, but he's just kind of like just like a prankster through the whole thing up until the last 10 minutes when he decides to get serious and go deadly. This time, he started out as kind of a cock blocker, and then just started tossing little girls around like cats all of a sudden.
He's kind of a jerk right from the get-go.
It doesn't take him long to go like, I'm fucking serious and I hate you people.
I think it's Chris Brown's ghost that's doing all that shit.
No, this goes what I like I said, I don't know what pissed him off so much, but he wasn't having it in this movie. But
you know what? For that reason, before it made sense for them to say, hey, let's set up some cameras.